Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can start planning for retirement. And when starting to plan your retirement, you really need to be thinking about 3 questions. And let's jump into Excel and kind of talk about that. Before we begin, just remember that this is not financial advice. So those 3 questions are here. First, you need to know, how much money do I want to live off every year? So when in retirement, how much do I want to be spending? And number 2 is, how much money do I need in total when I retire? And third is how you get there, is how much money do I need to be saving now every month in order to reach that goal and to spend what I want when I'm retired. So the first question, and actually I'm gonna format these real quick. So there's 3 things you need to determine right off the bat. So you need to know, in today's money, how much do you want to be living per year? And so let's say when we retire, we don't have a ton of expenses. You know, we don't really have a car payment or a mortgage, let's just say. So we're comfortable living off, let's say, $50,000 a year when we're in retirement. So we'll go ahead and put that. So $50,000. And actually, I'm going to... All right. So then we need to talk about inflation. And generally, let's just say inflation is 2.5%. So we're just going to do 2.5% there. And the number of years until we retire. Let's say that I'm 25 years old and I plan on retiring when I'm about 65. So in about 40 years. So let's say 40 here for years. So knowing these 3 things, that's going to tell us how much money that is per year in the future. All right, so we're going to do a simple FV formula. We're going to put a negative in front of there first. And we're going to go the rate of 2.5%. The n per number of periods is 40 years. Skip the payment, so double comma. And we're going to do $50,000 for the present value. So in 40 years, $50,000 a year is about $134,000 adjusted with inflation. So that's about how much you're going to be spending per year in retirement in 40 years. And I've done a similar video before titled Simplified Retirement Model, but the audio wasn't very good, and I didn't go explain things as in depth as I would have liked to. So I'm just kind of remaking this video just for everyone's benefit. So we're gonna go ahead and do some more formatting here. So then, to know how much that I will need when I retire, we need to answer 3 more questions here. And we're going to go ahead and format all of this quick. All right, so spending each year, we just determined that. So we're just going to link it with that cell, hit enter. So then we need to know the rate of return that we earned during our retirement. So for example, if we have $2 million when we retire, we're not just going to take all the $2 million out of the bank and use it as cash. We're only spending $134,000 a year. So we're still going to be making a return on our money while it's in the bank and we're not using all of it. So generally you want this to be a little bit lower than the average because you want to be a little bit more conservative because you don't have as much time for the market to correct when you're in retirement. And you don't want to lose that money. So you could put it into some safe mutual funds or index funds or something like that, or CDs or bonds or something. But let's just say we have a 6% return when we're retired on our money. So then we need to know how many years in retirement roughly that we're going to be. So we're 65. Let's say we'll live to be 80. So let's say 15 years. And those 3 things will help us know the amount we need to when we retire. All right, so we're going to do a simple PV formula using the information. Here's the rate, the number of periods, and the payment. But with our payment, we're going to want to put that as a negative number. Otherwise, our present value is going to be negative and it's not going to make as much sense. So we'll go ahead and do that. So when we retire, we need to have $1.3 million in the bank account in order to spend $50,000 a year, if we want to be spending $50,000 a year. So now we go to the next question. The last question is kind of what we need to be doing now in order to achieve that. So And it's gonna be less than you think. Before you finish watching this video, I want you to throw a comment down below and throw a number out there. Guess what your monthly, how much you need to save per month in order to reach $1.3 million by the time you retire in 40 years. All right, so in order to determine that, we need to answer another 3 questions. So question number 1 is the amount needed when I retire, so the future value. And that's the present value that we determined in the previous question. And so then our rate earned before retirement. Now, generally, this is going to be in a more aggressive rate of return because, you know, you're just starting out, you want the biggest bang for your buck, you want a good return. So the average S&P 500 return, I believe, is around 10 to 12%. So we'll just put 12% here as our annual rate of return. And then we're going to need to know the number of years until retirement, which we had determined previously to be 40 years. So we can just link that cell as well. So now we have everything we need to determine how much we need to be saving every month. All right, so our payment, and this is going to be a little bit trickier because we need to put everything in terms of months. So for our rate, what we need to do is select the rate, but then we need to divide that by 12, and that'll get us the return per month out of a 12% annual return. And then for our number of periods, we're going to times that by 12 in order to put it into months. And then we're going to skip the PV because we have the future value here. We're going to put another negative. And then you just hit enter. But before we do that, make sure you leave the comment. What do you think that monthly payment will need to be? And the answer is $110.83 is the amount you need to save every month at that rate of return in order to reach your goal of spending $50,000. Now, you can mess around with this a lot. And let's say instead of $50,000, I want to do $70,000. All right? And then everything will automatically adjust since we used our formulas correctly. And we're going to need to save $155 a month, so an extra $45 roughly per month in order to reach that goal, which, considering, isn't a whole lot. But that is the power of compounding interest. You know, or let's say perhaps, you know, we actually aren't making 12% return, we're making a 9% return, a little less. We're going to have to save significantly more. So you can kind of play around with this model and kind of determine what you need to do in order to reach those retirement goals. But remember, again, this is not financial advice and should not be taken as such. But thank you for watching. Please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that, and have a great rest of your day.